now with Ambassador Danny Ayalon and Naseer Alomari. Also joining us now is Maher Brodsky, Senior Fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy. Naseer, I want to get your thoughts on what we're hearing now, that Hamas and Fatah, the Palestinian Authority, are now coming together over this plan. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that they're trying to show the Palestinians that, they're united. I doubt that they are united. Hamas is pro-Iranian. They are working with the Iranians openly, and I don't think Mahmoud Abbas is about to, have a deal with Hamas. But they're trying to show that they're against the deal. They want a better deal, and they want a peace process that really works. I'm not saying Hamas wants a peace process, but Abbas definitely wants a peace process that he can take back to the Palestinians.
But just not this one, not this past
That's right.
Well, let's bring in Maher Brodsky, because Matt was at the White House today when the plan was announced. And Matt, you played a role in advising the team that was working on crafting this plan. So what are your thoughts on what was presented today?
I think it was a fantastic plan. It's President Trump was quite clear in saying that this might be the last opportunity. It provides for statehood for the Palestinian Authority if they do a certain number of things. It also has a timeline of about 4 years. A part of East Jerusalem could also be part of their capital. I mean, let's be clear. According to what they've been saying themselves, the Palestinian Authority and the spokespeople that they've put out on Arabic television up until about 24 hours ago was something that they were fearing far worse than what was put out there. So even from their own perspective, what they've been overselling to their people as some horrible deal simply doesn't match reality. But that's, of course, par for the course, because what they've been selling to their people for decades is also not reality, because this is what makes it hard for them to engage. When you keep promoting mythology to the people that says that there's going to be some 5 million refugees to come into Israel alongside a Palestinian state, or that all Jews will be pushed out of Jerusalem, that's not realistic. So it makes it hard for them to, of course, engage. And it's a lesson that they keep learning the hard way, if they learn it at all.
Ambassador, your response to what Matt is saying, because it does seem as though every offer that the Palestinians have gotten since 2000 is getting, well, even since before that, is getting progressively worse. Do you think that the other Arab nations, like the Egyptians, like the Saudis, may be able to coerce the Palestinians into looking at this plan?
Well, it could be. It could be. The Palestinians have felt isolated before, after they sided with Saddam Hussein. By the way, all the time in history, they sided with the wrong side, whether it was the evil empire of the Soviet Union, Saddam Hussein, now with Iran, at least Hamas. But Michelle, what the Palestinians are harvesting is the poison that they sowed in their population by the incitement against Israel from day one, which means they didn't educate their children for peace or coexistence. So now we see Abbas falling back on this incitement and calling this a horrible plan, which is not the case. He has not even read it. 180 pages in this plan, which there are a lot of benefits to the Palestinians, and also some things that Israel will have to swallow, like contiguity, like more land to the Palestinians, independence, Jerusalem, parts of East Jerusalem. If they don't take it, again, I think they will never, ever realize their ambitions.
All right. Thank you so much, Naseer Alomari. Good to have you with us. Ambassador Ayalon and Maher Brodsky, you will rejoin our conversation later, and there's certainly a lot more to discuss. We also have some other stories that we're covering tonight on ClearCut, and that includes the latest on the fight against the spreading coronavirus. We have late word of a Dan Raviva live for us in D.C. Well, as we said, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas is making his opinion clear, calling the plan the slap of the century, and says the Palestinians will respond to it with, quote, slaps of their own. Joining us tonight, again, is Maher Brodsky, Senior Fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy, and Dr. Maher Massis, the Director of Public Policy with the Coalition of Palestinian Organizations. Welcome to you both. Maher, can the Palestinians work with this plan?
Absolutely not. This isn't a plan. This is basically a surrender document. There is nothing in that plan that really is beneficial to the Palestinians. I read the whole document twice today, and I was hoping that maybe there's something in there that I can cling on to that'll be a symbol of hope that maybe we can work something with this document. But there's nothing in there. Israel gets to annex 30% of the West Bank immediately. What do the Palestinians get? Instead, there's a long list of conditions that the Palestinians have to meet, impossible conditions. And so, in effect, no Palestinian is going to accept this plan. And so these conditions will make it very unlikely and unrealistic that there would be a Palestinian state under those conditions.
All right, but Maher, the Palestinians have rejected every plan offered to them, including the one at Camp David in 2000, where Barak was going to give them the whole of Gaza, 94% of the West Bank, and key areas of Jerusalem, and Arafat said no. Maher, you have to see that the offers are getting worse, not better. Is it time for the Palestinian leadership to do what's right for their people, accept the realities, and to get on board with this?
Well, accepting the current reality is not acceptable. This is the worst possible plan that can ever be presented to the Palestinian people. And so there's no option for the Palestinians to really find a way to accept this. No sovereignty over East Jerusalem, no territorial sovereignty over the entire West Bank, no control over their eastern borders, no right of return for refugees, and there are really ridiculous conditions that are imposed on the Palestinians. There are no conditions imposed on the side of Israel. And the question that I would ask President Trump and Mr. Jared Kushner is that let us assume that the Palestinians fulfilled their side of the agreement, and they accepted this 100% because they want a Palestinian state, and then Israel reneges. Who's going to hold Israel accountable? What are the penalties that Israel's going to face if it does not, stick to its side of this deal? There's nothing in there that even mentions penalties on Israel. It's all about the Palestinians have to do this, they have to do that, and it's just really a 100% pro-Israeli proposal.
Well, Matt, the president says it's a win-win for the Israelis and the Palestinians. You've heard Maher's opinion. He says that's 100% for the Israelis. What do you say to that?
I think you bring up a good point that the Palestinians frequently turn something down and then they get offered something less and less. And I think that's the reality. And that's actually what Prince Bandar bin Sultan from Saudi Arabia said to Yasser Arafat when he picked him up at the airport in 2000 to drive him to the Oval Office to pick up and see what the Clinton parameters were. The first time the U.S. really put down the parameters for a final status agreement. What Prince Bandar bin Sultan told Arafat is, isn't it time we said yes? Because every time we say no, and every time later, there's less and less available. So this is only actually in the Middle East where you have the type of mentality, apparently, amongst Israel's neighbors and in that neighborhood, where you can be a rejectionist, promote mythology, and then demand more. This we actually saw from Syria's Assad when it came to the 1990s peace agreement, too. They wanted even more than Egypt got. Why? Because they're a rejectionist. So that doesn't fly in reality, and it's not going to fly here.
All right.
If I may interject.
Go ahead, Maher. 30 seconds. Finish your thought.
Yeah, if I may interject, demands of the Palestinian people. What are their demands? They have given up 7 to 8% of historic Palestine for the sake of peace. And we know the details
Maher,
of the
they
Oslo
haven't
agreement,
recognized the Israeli state's right to exist. Maher, they have.
Nor
the
is it
Palestinians
giving
haven't
up.
recognized
It's
Israel's right
losing.
of
But
They
did
existence.
Israel
lost it
recognize
in
the right
wars.
of Palestine to exist? I have a question. Did Israel ever recognize the right of Palestine to exist?
It has, and that's what this plan is about. But unfortunately, we will have to bring you back.
No, it has not. Israel has not recognized the right of Palestine to exist.
We'll have to bring you back. We've got more to discuss on this topic. Thank you very much. All right, back in Israel, the Attorney